even though people are making less, paying more, household median income is tanking by the day, the Trump administration is going to burden you even more. How? By eliminating a student loan forgiveness program, all because it's a Biden era program. That's it, nothing else. Put it up for a mass. Millions of struggling Americans are burdened by crippling student loan debt. Now, the Trump administration is set to end a major student loan forgiveness program. The number one deterrent to home ownership is actually student loan debt, which would be the greatest investment for the vast majority of people in the United States, their home investment. The Department of Education has moved to terminate one of former President Joe Biden's most popular student loan forgiveness plans, impacting millions of Americans through a proposed joint settlement with the state of Missouri on Tuesday. The pending agreement ends the saving on a valuable education or SAVE plan, which is home to over 7 million student loan borrowers, 7 million plus. It marks a major victory, if you call it that, for the Trump administration's effort to claw back Biden-era policies, including Biden's numerous efforts to implement student loan debt cancellation. Now, before I get into the other details, I want you to look at the hypocrisy of their argument. Obviously, no president should starve the citizen. He did that. Obviously, no president should utilize the military to wage war on the citizens. He has done. Now you have this philosophical and political debate about student loan forgiveness. While the left will argue, rightfully so, that it's not only the right thing to do ethically, it's also the right thing to do economically, because it's a bailout of sorts, frees up economic enterprise, providing consumer confidence and some disposable income, invigorating the local economy and beyond. Very simple math. Republicans will say, well, it's their fault. They need to pull themselves by the bootstraps, pay the bill. And I remember getting into a debate, and it wasn't a long debate, with a former law professor of mine who believed the same thing, that people needed to pay their bill. This generation needs to learn how to pay their bills. They signed the contract. But I reminded that professor, as I will remind Republicans, you all are the same individuals who argue that the reason why student loan debt became a crisis is because the government came in and became surety for the debt. And because of that, at 18, you can get up to $190,000 to go to college, but you could not get $19,000 to open up a business. You argued the government is the reason why it got out of control, which I agree with you, which would mean that if the government is the catalyst for the reason the debt is out of control for the average American, that the government would at least, due to their contributory negligence, have some level of responsibility to lighten the load. Real simple here. Should not be a Democrat versus Republican argument. Now, the pending agreement ends. Officials in the Trump administration, education department, which is the anti-education department at this point, who've decried these policies for months, suggested that the administration is righting a wrong by ending the, quote, deceptive scheme of student loan forgiveness. The Biden administration touted the plan for including zero payments for anyone making $16 an hour or less, lowered monthly payments for millions of individuals who had these loans, and protecting those individuals from runaway interest rates if they are making their monthly payments. That doesn't sound deceptive to me. If that's deceptive, give me that. I will accept that, if that's what you're calling deceptive. That's straightforward, simple, makes sense. Commonplace ethic. You make 16 bucks or less, you're barely able to pay your bills, let alone pay a multi-billion-dollar loan agency. Quote, the law is clear. If you take out a loan, you must pay it back. What? If you take out a loan, you must pay it back. The law is clear. Interesting how they will bend and manipulate the law to benefit them. And they won't even properly quote the law to benefit you. Loan forgiveness is statutory as well, especially when it was done under predatory guise. Under Secretary of Education, these people are something else. Nicholas Kent said in a release from Secretary of Education, Linda McMahon's department on Tuesday, quote, thanks to the state of Missouri and other states fighting against this egregious federal overreach, American taxpayers can now rest assured they will no longer be forced to serve as collateral for illegal and irresponsible student loan policies. Well, once again, we're back to a policy dynamic, which would mean the government is involved and the people are suffering. You govern for the people. Policies are for the people. There's more. This program, SAVE, was one of several income-driven repayment plans, which calculate payment size based on income and family size. Very fair. Aimed at easing the repayment process as a pandemic-era pause ended. Several Republican-led states, including Missouri, sued the Biden administration over the plan, and a federal appeals court blocked the program in 2024. The announcement on Tuesday will mark an end to those lawsuits. Quote, the Biden administration's illegal SAVE plan would have cost taxpayers, many of whom did not attend college or already repaid their student loans, more than $342 billion over 10 years, McMahon wrote in the post on X. We won't tolerate it. The insanity. Because many of the taxpayers never went to college and they shouldn't be paying into these systems. Well, you know what? A whole lot of us don't want you killing people and blowing things up, but you would take our money in order to wage war. A whole lot of us won't serve in the military, but that money will go and pay every Department of Defense contract and personnel that you have. And also, return on investment, ROI. The more education, technical training, et cetera, that a person has, the more revenue they pay into the system, more taxation the government is able to receive, and the higher quality of life based on the statistics they are able to have. Meaning, if you have an educated population, you have a better outcome financially, professionally, and personally. Her agencies already saddled the Federal Student Aid Office will provide support to those currently enrolled in selecting a new legal repayment plan, the department said. The department said these individuals will have a limited time to find a new payment plan. However, FSA's loan simulator tool will estimate monthly payments, determine repayment eligibility, and select a new plan that best fits those needs and goals, the department said. The impact this will have on the borrower. So, quote, 7+ million borrowers enrolled in SAVE face higher monthly loan repayments, may lose out on months of progress toward loan forgiveness. That's according to the Associate Vice President of Federal Policy and Advocacy at the Institute for College Access and Success, wrote in the statement. If the Trump administration cares so much about agreements, remember that they entered into this loan repayment program by way of a contractual agreement. The government is breaking that contractual agreement. ACLU, where are you? Where are you? This is a class action lawsuit if I've ever seen one. Where are you? There's a contract in place. There was an offer, consideration, and acceptance. Where are you? All right, Elliott, thoughts here.
I mean, I have many thoughts about this. It strikes very close to home. I definitely have student debt. Whenever I see these headlines, there's like a pit in my stomach that just kind of falls out. And I want to highlight too this idea of the deceptive scheme of student loan forgiveness. I think if folks want to learn about the deceptive schemes going on, there is an article that was in The Intercept that was written by John Schwartz, and it goes into the origins of the student debt crisis that we currently have in this nation. And in it, it talks about an advisor in California in the 60s who advised Reagan when he was running for the government that they needed to be very selective about who they allowed into college because they didn't want a quote educated proletariat. There was a lot of protests happening about the Vietnam War. They didn't like that, and they instituted the loan program to make it so that people would have to pay this money back later. That later spread all throughout the nation, and now we have over, I think, 1 point something trillion dollars in student loan debt. However, there's also trillions of dollars stored in offshore bank accounts by corporations and the ultra wealthy. And so the idea that you're going to go after people who are trying to seek an education rather than the people who are actually holding all of the money away from the government, I think maybe is a little bit hypocritical. And there is just such a sadness and a metaphorical kind of like tragedy to going after education itself. I think people should be allowed to learn things, and it cuts to the core of what kind of a country we actually want. Do we want a country that is a center for like the sciences and the arts and culture? Do we want people to be educated? Do we want people to be able to live to their fullest potential? That is what education can provide for a lot of people. And that is an investment worthy of being made, I think, regardless of what the monetary reward is. In addition to the monetary reward, there is also just like what do you want out of your country? So the whole situation, I think, is disgusting, and it also just on a personal level, I can get a little fired up about it. But people should check out that Intercept article; it's incredibly interesting.
Well said. Well said. All right. We'll bring you updates as they come.